So we are going to begin. We are going to pick up where we left off with the discussion on density bonuses. Commissioner Weiss, you were the last to be recognized. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple of things. Maria, so when you're talking about on page 5 of the presentation, you know, you were talking about this goes back to 20% subcategories versus the 10% subcategories. But you also made a comment about using 30% of income as as another method or methodology. And so when I took the $67,100 a year income, and when I took 30%, it works out to $1,677.50 a month, which is higher than the $1,500. Is that something that, and I did it for some of the higher categories as well, and it seemed pretty consistent. If you're at the low end of the higher of the categories, it's going to be a higher rent than what we currently show.
Right.
Is that something staff is supporting, or is that, I know certainly from an implementation standpoint, maybe 50 years ago, it was difficult to do that. Today, it should be a no-brainer to be able to get somebody's, however they verify their income, and take that and just set the. So I'd just like to hear your comments on that.
Right, we're not particularly proposing that, but it is something that is done in other programs. 30% is the rule of thumb for affordability, but the number could be different if that were a concern. But it's something, again, if the board wants to go in a different direction. The issue is who's doing that. Is it going to be done by the property manager? Is it going to be done by staff? We have a pretty bare bones operation right now. And so that might be a little different if we were looking at every tenant at every renewal.
It would though prevent them, as we know, where they end up going from one category to another and then they get a big jump, or does that not happen unless their salary goes up significantly?
Yeah, two things happen. There are situations where someone gets recertified at renewal and their category does change and that goes up, but presumably their income has also changed. The situation we're concerned with here is when the category does not change and they're still within that same category and they're still jumping hundreds of dollars within that category because the range is pretty broad.
So, I mean, it's a more, I don't want to say fluid, it's a more level.
I think more precise to base it on the household income.
I think that probably, it would seem like it benefits, potentially can benefit both parties depending on specific, obviously very income specific, but could benefit both parties, both the landlord and the renter. And then on the other topics that I'm just curious as to, on these questions, you never really said, sort of staff's, opinion. And obviously you all are experts on these things. You are specific in particular. You spend more time on this than anybody else. And I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are, and your recommendations to us.
Yeah, well, we have not put forth specific recommendations, but we did identify the policy objective under most of these things so that just to remind you why we have the process that we have. Certainly, policy objectives can change over time if the board has, a different objective that has higher priority. For example, with the rental categories, I think staff is comfortable with how that is working. That was not a recommendation, and none of these are recommendations that came from staff. With the density bonus greater than 50%, by right, we're comfortable with the way it's working today, where the board retains discretion beyond the 50%. The TDR policy, the requirement to purchase that with amendments, that was, board direction decades ago, so that would be a sort of a sea change if that were to be directed.
The waiver policy, I mean, that was pretty compelling, I thought, when hearing from, I guess, is it housing leadership or?
The land trust.
Land
Community
trust, I'm sorry, land
yeah.
trust, yep.
Yeah, in that, I think what we see with this is essentially a refinement of a direction the board wanted to go of not double counting units, but there are going to be situations where maybe it makes sense.
Okay.
So that's a refinement. And then with regard to the flexible development regulations, you've heard from Wendy, the basis that's in place now and what it would mean to depart from that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Excuse me, Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just go down the list of the 5, starting with the first one, the greater than 50% by right. I'm pretty sure I'm a no on this one, because if I'm understanding, it's requiring no rezoning or comprehensive plan amendment, kind of echoing, you have here echoes live local approach. I don't know why we would do that, kind of removing this board from say, and I don't think that the residents would necessarily like that, because sometimes they're fine and sometimes they're really, really not. And I would not want for them to ever show up at one of our meetings and us be able to say, well, sorry, back in 2025, we decided not to have a say. So am I understanding that's kind of what this is doing?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the request to provide those density bonuses directly, administratively. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to be a no on that one. The subcategories, I go back and forth on this one, but I'm leaning towards keeping them, because it's about a $400 to $500 swing between the categories. And I mean, that's a significant amount of money. And, some people might get bumped just into another category and could go up more than what their raise was. And again, with this board's talked about it a lot. We never want to have people regret getting a promotion or taking a better job because they lose their home. So I like, if I'm understanding that correctly, I think I would like to keep the subcategories, just because our incomes are so significant here. On 3, the TDRs, I'm also leaning on a no on this one, because if we don't have this, especially with the current funding challenges that we're facing, how else do we fund our environmentally sensitive lands? Do we have an answer for that? Is that a budget question?
Staff was here earlier.
Okay.
Perhaps they would like to address
Short
that.
story is you need to replace with ad valorem. The money has swung through many years, and you saw the chart. It's not a consistent dollar amount, but Deb spends every dollar of it, and we would need to find a replacement for it.
Okay, well, and with the current climate being what it is, I don't think it would be wise for us to make that change right now, because we do have to maintain these lands. We own them, so we have to fund them, and property taxes are currently right now is not the thing for us to look at, so I'm a no on that as well. On the waiver for the 100% workforce housing, I'm leaning towards yes on this. My only question was, are any part of this being where the units can be kind of double counted?
In essence, that's what's happening, but it's also a recognition that it is increasingly difficult to deliver units with just one incentive, whether it's funding or density bonus or whatever. So essentially, for these nonprofits that are delivering these projects that are 100% workforce, they're looking to layer benefits and incentives, and that's going to mean that a unit is meeting the funding requirements of, let's say, the funder, but also being used, if the board approves this, being used to count the workforce obligation of that project, or basically acknowledge that the units that are already going to be restricted due to funding should be able to be counted toward the obligation.
We had a speaker that brought up that they were building, their development was 100%, and they still had to participate in some above and beyond. That part, can we not have that part corrected? Because I do think that we should correct that. If they're building 100% workforce, I don't see why we would have an additional obligation for them. But my concern is having, them be part of like an exchange where they're already doing this and they're getting their incentive because they're doing the workforce housing and not have to do additional and then have someone else also get to claim those units. Is that a potential in what this is, or?
This, as proposed, would address what the speaker was identifying, a project that's going to be workforce priced in this case because of their land model. And because 100% of the units are going to be restricted, they don't have a unit left that's
Right.
unrestricted to restrict or to sell at market rate and use that money to pay the in lieu fee. So it would address that situation. We need to think about what the language looks like to limit it to that situation and not have it be something that allows units. Like that, what you're describing is a concern that we have. For example, we have projects that are doing exchange, using the exchange option and delivering the units in various cities. Well, we know the cities are also granting some
Bonuses.
sort of, right, and requiring some restricted units. So we need to make sure that our units are not their units. That's a bit of a different situation. Those are not 100% workforce projects.
Okay, so if I would say yes, if you build the language out to say for the developers who are building the 100% workforce housing to not have an additional obligation beyond what they're already doing, because they are doing 100%. So that would be my recommendation. And then on number 5, the flex regs, I'm going to admit this took me several conversations to really wrap my brain around what this was asking for. And if I understand it correctly, right now we have, I guess is it the limited or not the limited? The full can do flex regs. And flex regs have to do with setbacks and certain things like on the site. And they're full because they're using the full density bonus. So they're getting that incentive to build more units. They're able to build more market. We also require more workforce, but they're building more market at the same time. And we're giving them flex regs. So we're actually giving them 2 incentives, are we not? Because they're getting density and flex regs. For anyone below that threshold, or if they just come in and want to build exactly what they're entitled to, if it's a LR2 and they're building exactly their LR2, they still have, if they hit that threshold, they still have a workforce requirement, but we don't allow them to do flex regs.
Correct. The only density bonus available to them is, the only incentive available to them is density bonus if they choose to use it.
So I would be in support of adding the flex regs for all of them. Because right now we're kind of giving double bonus to one and no bonus to the other. And the one who comes in and just builds at the density that they are already entitled to get nothing. And then the ones who are building high density get extra. So maybe that wasn't really how this kind of was intended, but it does seem to be that's how it shook out. So I would like to see that corrected. I think this is a good way to do it because it does not lower the amount of workforce housing, right? This is just setbacks and construction of the site. It's still the same number of units. So we wouldn't be losing any units.
Right, but there is a distinction to be made, just to be clear, between whether this is extended to limited incentive projects that do those units on site, just like it exists today for full incentive projects that do their workforce on site, or whether to take it further and say, no, it's available to the entirety of a project, even if it doesn't do its units on site, or throughout all the pods of a project, even if the units are concentrated in one pod. Those are the kind of the 2 stages of
Yeah.
this.
And that is something I'm uncertain on. I'd like the rest of the board, if they want to pipe in on that, because right now, what you're saying is when we allow the flex regs, however that shakes out, it's only on this section where the workforce housing is included. So we have the option to allow that Even if they don't do a density bonus, we have the option to do that if they build exactly what they're entitled to, or the whole thing. Is that correct?
Right, that is the request from industry because of this fully offset statute, is that they be extended not only to the limited incentive pod where something might be done, which is not available today, but also to the entirety of the project, limited or full, throughout the project.
Well, I think for me, because we do need to offer something for the units that are being built that don't get a density bonus. So I would think for those, I would be in support of us doing that. If it's the ones that are doing the full density and they're going and getting all this other stuff, I think they should still have to do it as part of their limited or their pod. But if they're just building what they're entitled to, we have to find something. And it seems like the flexible regulations are kind of the way to get to that, so that there is an incentive that we're offsetting some of the cost of them building the workforce housing. So that's my 5.
So and I think Kevin had brought it up, but under the statute, there's the 3 options about reducing or waiving fees, the allowing the developer density bonus, which we allow the density bonus. We don't have the reduction in fees or impact fees that we've been applying, and then the granting other incentives that we have in the code is the flexible property development regulations.
I would not be in support of waiving any of the impact fees. I mean, we're going to need all the money we can get right now. And the density bonus, I mean, if they don't want to build more than they're entitled to, that's not enough. We need the flexible regulations too. So I'd say no on the fees, yes on the flexible regulations. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yeah, I actually want to stay on that same topic on number 5, the flexible property development regulations. Could you elaborate on what flexible regulations look like? What is there oversight? What does flexible mean?
Okay, so they're,
Can we go back to that slide?
Yeah.
in the Unified Land Development Code, the incentives that are available to fully offset include a TPS mitigation. So in that case, they would be submitting some sort of traffic study to us that we would have to evaluate. There is an expedited review process, so it moves the application further along. Then the flexible property development regs, they're submitting a justification statement to us along with a site plan review. They're supposed to be submitting a drainage document to us for us to analyze because of reduced property development regs. So the property development regs in the RT district would increase building coverage, reduce setbacks. So the need for that drainage document is important so that we can make sure that we're still draining properly with larger buildings and a bigger footprint of houses.
When you say reduce setbacks and any reductions, is there a percentage that we're talking about here, or is it?
So for single-family homes, there is a 10% reduction in the lot size, the lot dimension, the width, the lot frontage, a reduction in building coverage. It's probably an increase in building coverage, and a reduction in the side and rear setbacks. So if you have a 7.5-foot setback and you get a 10% reduction, you're ultimately reducing it down less than a foot on the sides. It's a 15-foot rear setback in the rear, so you'd be reducing it down like 1.5 feet in the back for single-family homes. So it increases the footprint of the building. And then the building coverage would increase from what they get 45% right now, so they'd get another 10% on top of that to cover the lot. So again, drainage is going to be needed to look at to make, because of the bigger footprint. But they're required if they want to take advantage of that to submit some drainage studies for the reduction in any surface area that we have to analyze. A few other flexible property development regs they have is for planned developments, we have a 40% open space requirement, and they can reduce that down to 30%. So there's a reduction in the open space area. There's also an elimination of incompatible buffer requirements. So they're eliminating some buffers on the inside of the development. And then there's an allowance to utilize housing on civic tracks. So those are the flexible regs that we have right now for the full incentive.
I'm assuming you've studied this a little bit, and any concerns, red flags that stand out to you?
So applying this the same way on the limited, I don't have concerns with because we're doing it on the full incentive. But some of the other requests that have been made by industry include applying it to the entire development, applying it whether or not there's workforce housing on site or cashed out. I have concerns with that, so.
I have concerns as well with that component. I'm open to the limited to offset the cost because we're technically mandating units, although we're not really giving them density. And then I only want it to be, I would be in favor of applying it only to the units that are considered workforce housing, on-site workforce housing,
So not to the cashed out units, right? Or
not to the cashed out units.
ones.
So
Because the cashed out units they're super discounted, so.
the current application of the full incentive, it isn't just for flexible regulations, it isn't just for that particular unit, but it would be if they have, again, let's say 20 units in a pod, and there's 5 workforce housing, the whole pod will have the same property development regs in that pod because that's where the workforce is
I
located.
would be in favor of that.
Okay.
Would you go through 1 through 4?
I will.
Okay.
Yep. So you got my number 5. I am open to that. So going to number 1, my question here is time frame. When they come to us to get up to that 50%, what is the time frame, and how much are we delaying a project for us to make that 50% approval?
It does not represent a delay. It's part of the process, the development approval process. We calculate the density bonus, and then it comes as part of the application to the board for the approval of the project as a
So
whole.
wait, if I'm understanding correctly, there's no delay. The project would continue to move. So why would they want to do the 50% by right? Just to not keep it up in the air, whether they get it or not?
Exactly. The concern was predictability, to be able to know at the outset of proposing a project what the total density count would be, which, helps with financing and securing financing and project logistics.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem is, and then we get a chamber full of people coming in here complaining about the density of a project, but we're bound by our own rules. So I would probably stay away from that at
So
this
no
point.
to 1?
That's a no. 2, eliminating the rent subcategories, that's a no. 3, that's a no, the TDRs. And the waivers, I am okay with. My question about the waivers is, do these units still get restricted? So let's say that they're required to build 4 workforce housing. Are they gonna be restricted, although we're gonna count them? Meaning, in a year, they can't go back to market rate, but those 4 will be restricted?
We would look to make sure that the restrictions were equal to or greater than the counties. So, for example, we had a situation where workforce units were delivered in, I think it was Delray Beach, and our units require a 15-year, and Delray was requiring a 40-year, beyond the 15. So that was something that would have been considered acceptable for the unit.
So I am in favor of the waiver. However, I want to make sure that there is a restriction on that unit for X amount of time. So if they're doing 40 total units and they're 100%, but we're requiring 4, I would like those 4 to be restricted, even though we're not making them do payout. So, just so that we keep that unit longevity. I think that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Yeah, just to weigh in on these now. Yeah, I agree on number 1, that's a no, just because we know what happens with the public and with the density, and I certainly understand industry wanting predictability, but we've got to balance their need for predictability with the needs or the concerns of the community. Eliminate the rent subcategories. That's a no, although I think it deserves, I really do like the 30%. I think that deserves a much further discussion about it. I mean, if we're gonna have subsidized units, 30% of the household income, that's what's recommended, I think, by most of the bodies that do this, and so that would be something to look at. Eliminate the requirement to purchase TDRs, that's a no. I support the waiver option, and I support the flexible property development regs as well.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we're all consistent today. Number 1 would be a no, number 2 would be a no, number 3 would be a hell no. Excuse me, I'm not sure I'm allowed to swear on. Number 4 would be a yes, and number 5 would be a yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Looking at number 3 and number 5, I know Kevin Rattery came up and spoke about allowing flexible property development regulations for all projects subject to this. But can staff kind of give me the pros of that and any cons?
Commissioner Powell, may I ask a question? So there were 2 caveats I also meant to ask the previous ones. On number 5, was that going with the flexible regs?
Yeah.
But no to the impact fee waivers and no to flex regs on anything that's been cashed out. Those were the 2 caveats we're going right now.
Then that's a no
For the whole thing?
for number 5.
Yes with those caveats or no with those caveats?
The impact fee waiver.
Right, what I'm saying is it's yes to everything else, but we're not allowing the impact fee waiver, and we
Okay.
wouldn't be allowing flex regs on anything that was cashed out
Okay.
for number 5.
Does that play in the same thing for number 4?
Yes.
Okay.
So we still need your answer.
No on 1, a no on 2. Although I would like to see a little bit more on 2. No on 3. Be a yes on 4. And then no on 5.
Okay. Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized. Do you want to weigh in on 1 through 5? What everyone has said? Okay.
Not nice?
Very nice. Thank you. All right, so for staff.
Mayor, sorry.
Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. As you clarified, thank you for clarifying number 5, because yes, but the other subcategories, the impact fees is also a no. So I'm in alignment with the rest of the board on that. Thank you.
I will agree with that. what Chip
Thank
said.
you. Vice Mayor Woodward.
Thank you. Just to clarify, where did we end up on number 5?
Number 5 is a yes with 2 exceptions. We are not waiving impact fees, and we are not waiving flex regs for anything that's been cashed out.
Why?
We're not doing flex regs for, because I'll let Commissioner Flores take the floor.
I was just gonna say, adding to what you said, I think there's still a question whether it's on-site and if it's only on the workforce and housing pod or units instead of the entire project. I don't think anybody weighed in on that. I would be in favor of just the workforce and housing component.
That's on site.
That's on-site, correct?
Right. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to incentivize people to do these on site and to actually build them. When they cash out, they don't get done.
Okay, 2 questions. One, this board is in the process of working on a homebuyer match program that would use in lieu fees. Don't forget that. We would need to continue to build that fund. Secondly, if we don't allow this, how, the goal of this was to find a way to make the developers quote-unquote whole, to incentivize, or to give them an incentive because we are requiring them to do something that they are not asking for a density bonus. They are building exactly what they're entitled to.
We are
And
saying yes to all of 5, though. The only thing we're saying no is you don't get those flex regs we're approving if you've decided to cash out and not build them.
But by cashing out, they're writing us a check. Is that right?
Commissioner Flores?
Okay.
Yes, they are writing a check. I've brought this up many times that I think we should increase those checks that are being written.
And if we could,
regarding
we
the
would.
in lieu fees. I think that's a different discussion.
Can't.
But, yeah.
But we can increase them. So basically, this is a way to incentivize them to actually build them instead of cashing out.
Okay, well, this is just where I would disagree, because I think if we are requiring them to either pay or to build or to exchange or whatever it is, we're requiring them to do something that they are not getting any other thing for. They're building what they're entitled to. We're requiring them to build or pay out or exchange. We're requiring something, and where there's nothing in there. So what would we add to the ones that cash out then?
I think right now our board is in full agreement except for you, Vice Mayor, and I
No,
apologize.
I would agree, but we are going to have to answer this because the state statute requires that we do something to, if we are going to require something and give them nothing, that's where the problem is. So how do we fix that?
If I may.
Yes, Commissioner.
And this might be an opinion, but I firmly believe that by cashing out, they're getting a massive discount instead of building that unit.
Okay, but there are places all over that do not require workforce housing to be built no matter what. So we are requiring something that is not what they would build if they just had
I
what their
see what
land
you're
rights are
saying.
entitled to.
Attorney?
So the statute requires us to provide incentives to fully offset, right? So we're providing those incentives by providing this option for the flex regs or the option for the density bonus. If they choose not to take that, arguably, we've satisfied the statute by providing them those options.
But right now, we're only giving them density, not
Yes.
flex regs.
That's correct. Well, only in the limited incentive option. In the full incentive option, flex regs are available to them.
Okay, what about the standard? They don't build any density. Their land tells them they can build 50 units, and they want to build 50 units. We still require them to build or pay us something for workforce housing.
That's correct.
So where is the incentive for that?
The incentives are there, they're just choosing not to take advantage of them.
Their incentive is to build more, higher density.
But they're choosing not to build that higher density. They're not taking the density bonus, and if they're doing the full incentive option, they could theoretically take the standard density, have their workforce housing requirement, and then take the flex regs. Does that make sense? Right.
Okay, well,
So the statute,
it is the will
I
of
guess
the
what I'm
board.
trying to
I would just argue that I do think that there should be something, if they don't want to build extra market rate homes, then, and we're requiring a certain number of workforce housing, even though they're building exactly what the land is entitled to.
Right.
But we're not giving them anything other than build more market, and we're gonna require more workforce. There is no offset.
So the statute doesn't, so the way I'm reading the in my opinion, the statute does not require us to offset. It requires us to provide them the incentives that then they get to choose if they want to exercise those incentives to get the offset. That's the way the statute reads, at least in my opinion. Unfortunately, there is no case law on this. It's quite possible, judge would say, Liza, you're out of your mind, you're wrong. It certainly wouldn't be the first time, but, you know, that's the way I read the statute right now, is we have to provide them incentives by adding these flex regs, even if we're limiting it to just on-site workforce housing units. We're providing them that incentive. We're making it available to them, and so they have the option of using it.
Okay.
Thank you. So just to reiterate, we are a no on 1, a no on 2, a H no on 3. We are a yes to 4, and then a yes to 5 with the 2 caveats. Do you need those clarified? The caveats being no to the impact fee waiver and no to flex regs on anything that's cashed out.
Correct.
Yes? Thank you so much. We will move on to item number 12. This should be the last item, planning fees.
Yes, Mayor and Commission. This item was before you as a follow-up to the August 27th BCC Board direction that was prompted by a property owner who owns 1.5 approximately acre who wants to subdivide. And the issue at hand then was the upfront costs for them to subdivide their property and the application costs. So the board discussion resulted in direction to staff to research this topic, evaluate alternative approaches, and report back with our findings. Staff reviewed the fee history, staff time and resources required, the potential for technology and improve efficiencies and reduce costs, and other possible options to consider. Next slide, please. So just as a brief history of the private text amendment process, in 2008, there's policy discussion by the BCC where the board direction was not to bring back any amendments that violate the shall not policy. It was reaffirmed in 2011 by the board, but in 2012, the board directed staff to look into allowing private text amendments, and this will allow property owners to have two-phase approach to text amendments. The property owner can request a text amendment to the comp plan if there's an associated future land use amendment or development order. It also had the opportunity for the Planning Commission and the board to initiate any future land use amendment. So that would be phase 1 of the text amendment process. We usually have 4 text amendment intake a year. So this multi-phase approach would allow really the BCC to consider the concept prior to staff going and spending the time and the owners expending the time and money to go through the full amendment process. In 2015, the policy was added to the comp plan. Next slide, please. So in our evaluation, as you can see here, we have the green, which is the application for phase 1. The gold is application costs in phase 2. And the orange line is the consumer price index. Next slide, please. This slide tells what is involved in phase 1 for staff. It requires staff to conduct research on the original, the intent, and history of the policies, any modification that is needed to be proposed, as well as any of the background and site and evaluation of the surrounding area. We also look at analyzing the potential impacts and reviewing consistency internally with any revisions that's necessary. We also start drafting policy language, coordinate with interested parties, the applicants, and other departments. And then we do our staff report and report back to the board to ask for initiation. The number of staff are involved is also, will be listed here in this next slide. And as you can see, the total estimated hours for a typical phase 1 process is approximately 86 hours. The actual cost for existing staff, staff costs to today's salary is $5,587, and the last yellow line is the current fee, which is $5,420. Next slide. This is just detailing the additional.
Excuse me, Twee. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Tweet. Can you go back to that last slide? So you're telling me, considering staff time, and I know I had this conversation on phone on the, in our meeting, but considering staff time, staff would be, and this is just making sure, lowballing it, right? 5,587 would mean that the current fee wouldn't, considering staff time, wouldn't match what we're charging to do the,
A typical phase 1 work.
right,
Yeah. It's a little below.
thank you.
So again, the slide is what's involved in phase 2 as we continue to do our research and formulate our recommendations. Next slide. This again is what's involved and the different various staff that's involved in a phase 2. And the total estimated hours is 218 hours. The actual staff cost at existing salary is $13,650, and the current fee is $12,946. Next slide. So in evaluating the findings, staff went back and did, past requests and the hours it takes, and there's really no commonalities as to the acreage. So for example, midway through, down the row, there's a large parcel, 200 or so acres. It didn't take a lot of staff time to do that compared to the last item in which it's a smaller parcel, which took a lot more time. So with that, we really could not get to a tiered fee recommendation to the board. However, if the board chooses to have us take a look at other alternatives such as a waiver or parameters for that, or some kind of a process for that, we're able to do that and report back to the board in the future.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. At the point in time where SB 180 goes away, I would see us doing a sliding scale based on the cost of the project. But what you're saying right now is the cost that we're charging is being recouped, so it's not, and actually a little bit of a loss for the hours that you're putting in. But in the future, and it's, we don't want to be punitive to smaller businesses and smaller projects. So if in the future, if SB 180 ever gets sunsetted and repealed, I would see us having some sort of a tiered solution for this for properties based on the price. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
I like the exercise. I like knowing the amount of hours and all the tasks that go into the processes. I would implore our administration, hopefully our administrator is listening, but I think this exercise will have to be done, not just in your department, but throughout the county, because what we're facing is a cliff. And if for some reason we're not charging what we should be, maybe we need to look across the county at adjusting fees to be able to, because if for some reason our property taxes get cut and we take a hit, we are still going to be expected to provide a service. So I like the exercise. Thank you for bringing this back to me. I am not in favor of making any adjustments at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. When you listed the hourly rates, That was not fully burdened, was it? That was the actual hourly rate, or was that fully burdened?
Yes, we did get some help, a lot of help from our finance director. It included salary, benefits,
Okay.
and then overhead, 5%.
Okay, very good, thank you.
I guess we're good. No one wants any changes. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you.
We are going to adjourn as the Board of County Commission. Would you like to do comments? Well, I'm just saying, we do comments with the SWA as well. Or would you like to do comments? Go ahead.
I just want to publicly thank I just want to thank our principal planner, Stephanie Gregory. She's leaving us. So I just want to take this opportunity. She's given us 18-plus years. She's made a mark in this division, and we wish her the best of luck. We're losing her to the city of West Palm. I just see it as we're earning a friend. We're, in the city, and I look forward to working with her in her new capacity. So that's all. And I want to wish everybody a happy holiday.
Thank you. And if it's the will of the board, can we save commissioner comments for SWA comment time? Thank you.
Do you mind if I make a comment?
Of course, Wendy,
I'm
please.
sorry. Donna Adelsberger, she's been with the county 32 years. Her last day is Friday. And she's been a stone in our department and a rock. Unfortunately, she's not here due to an emergency in the family. Her husband was hospitalized. But we want to wish her the best and a great retirement. And so we were very appreciative of all of her time and input that she's constructed with the zoning division. So.
Thank you so much for letting us know.
Thank you for that, Wendy. And I've had the opportunity to work with Donna over the years. Donna is one of the most knowledgeable individuals who has worked for the county, especially in planning and zoning. And of course, her services over time will definitely be missed. We will miss her knowledge, her information, and her guidance. So I know Donna's not here today, but do want to let her know, acknowledge her work, her timing, and happy retirement, Donna. And Stephanie, but Stephanie's not retiring. Stephanie's going across the street. Good luck, Stephanie. And I've worked with Stephanie through the years too, so thank you.
I'm glad we have a commissioner that knows everyone.
Do my best.
Okay, so we're just going to take a brief 2-minute recess to reorganize as the SWA.
Here.
Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Powell.
Here.
Mayor Baxter.
Here.
Commissioner Marino.
Here.
Commissioner Sacks. Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
We have a quorum, and we also have proof of publication for this meeting.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pelowitz, will you please provide the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
No, it's up here.
Okay. We ask you, God, to bless this meeting of people who earnestly desire to do their work in the best possible way, to benefit those we serve, and to leave to our children a better world. Please give us the wisdom and vision to plan adequately and act correctly to achieve these ends. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
Yes, we have the add-on item 5F on the consent agenda, and we have supplemental information from 9D1, and we've also provided you with the final contract for approval for the new executive director position.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
Second.
Thank you. Vice Chair Flores made the motion. Commissioner Sacks, the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See that it carries 7-0. We have the board minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the board minutes from October 8th, November 13th, and November 18th, 2025?
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have Commissioner Marino as the first and Mayor Baxter as the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See, that carries 7-0. Is there a motion to receive and file the CAC minutes from December 3rd, 2025?
Second.
Vice Chair Flores first, Baxter second. I'm not going to say the correct titles, I apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7-0. Do I have a motion to receive and file the SBAC minutes from October 7, 2025?
So, second.
Marino first, Baxter second. All in favor? Any opposed? 7-0. Would anyone like to pull anything from the consent agenda?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second.
Commissioner Flores is the first, Baxter is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So now we would need to pass the consent agenda as adopted. We have a first for that.
So moved.
Baxter and Flores, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See, that carries 7-0. Now we have matters by the public. Do we have any cards?
We have two cards. We got Linda Smith and Gail Ladd.
Thank you.
You have two podiums. Come forward.
Linda Smith, Jupiter, Florida, Sierra Club, Loxahatchee Group. Sorry, 3 minutes. Years ago, the Solid Waste Authority could have been titled the Landfill Authority. Currently, it could be called the Incinerator Authority. Kind of a one-size-fits-all kind of scenario. But this is not really quite true for Palm Beach County, and I want to congratulate you guys because it has a comparatively strong single-use, single-family recycling program. But I think we can do better. Per the Florida EPA from 2019 to 2023, sorry, it's the current numbers I have, aluminum cans in our county, the most profitable recycled material that I know of, ranged from 8 to 12% and back down to 9%. That's not really an impressive number. Compared to other counties, yes it is. But by increasing commercial and multifamily recycling, my guess would be that we could double that figure. And if you really improved education with targeted messaging, not general messaging, that I think we could double that number again. I get asked all the time, does the stuff we put in the recycle bins get recycled? Education. And when they mean recycled or say recycled, they mean not burned. So if we could get recycling 40 to 50% of our aluminum cans would be very impressive for Florida. Not very impressive when compared to the Netherlands at 84%, and that's in 2024. So why bring up Europe? The current incinerator authority has repeatedly pointed to Europe as expanding their use of incinerators, which is true. But Europe has already generally gone through their zero waste growing pains. You actually get fined if you don't compost your food waste. Maybe that seems a little excessive. The Netherlands really has no space left for landfills. Palm Beach County is lucky. We have a lot more choices. Consider pay-as-you-throw as an alternative for reducing consumer waste by up to 40%, and it is more equitable. Exporting our waste outside of the county often comes up as a question. I don't believe we have a car battery manufacturer in Palm Beach County, so we import car batteries. We recycle them correctly at the Hazardous Waste Authority, and the material gets exported out to the battery manufacturer. Why is a paper cup any different? Whether it's recycled or sent to a landfill one county over, please change us back to the Solid Waste Authority. This might be a hard thing to do, but we need to try to broaden the scope of how we're solving our solid waste problems. Thank you.
Please
Good
state your name
afternoon.
for the record.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Gail Ladd, Jupiter, Florida. First, may I wish you all happy holidays and thank you for all you do for our county to keep it safe for all. On that note, I ask that you think outside the box, so to speak, and consider the health of your constituents. We in the Loxahatchee group of the Sierra Club have the belief that a new incinerator would negatively impact that health. A study done by Mike Ewall, an acknowledged expert in the field with Earth Justice Network, finds that a proposed 3,000 or 4,000 ton a day trash incinerator would be one of the largest industrial air polluters in the county. It would be among the county's top 5 industrial air emitters of ammonia, cadmium, dioxins, furans, hydrochloric acid, mercury, nitrogen oxides, and sulfur dioxide and greenhouse gases. The expanded waste burning complex would be the largest in the nation. He has spoken to you, and I know you know his name, Mike Ewall. There are viable options instead of building a $1.5 billion incinerator. They take courage and planning, which Palm Beach County should be willing to pursue. It starts with reducing the waste and therefore the toxic pollution. Rethink, reduce, pay as you throw, as Linda just mentioned, or variable rate pricing charges for the amount of trash people throw out. It makes sense that one neighbor who's alone has less trash than the another with a family has more. Wouldn't someone with more trash should be able to pay more? People would tend to think about the amount of trash, and it has been found to reduce it. Education to help, just like recycling projects. As we started recycling, people didn't know what to do, and we educated the public. That's what we can do with this as well. Recycle. Many condos and commercial establishments do not recycle. More need to be required. Reuse, encourage, promote composting, expand food composting, both commercially and residentially, as well as yard waste. Miami-Dade, as we just found out, is expanding their allowable compost operations. So I just ask you, rethink. Don't just go for what's easy and just build another incinerator. Thank you.
Thank you, and that will conclude matters by the public. We do not have a public hearing at this point. Is there any old business?
There is none.
Thank you. New business, we have the proposed employment contract between Ramona Carey and the Solid Waste Authority. Attorney Jones?
Hi. Yeah, this is item 9B1. It is the proposed employment contract with Ramana Kari. I can go through some of the highlights of the contract for you if you'd like at this point in time.
Can we do it briefly? Thank you.
Sure, yeah. So this contract is very similar to the existing contract with Mr. Pelowitz. As we go along, I'll point out some of the differences. The annual salary is $325,000. That is the recommendation that was in the Evergreen Solution Report, dated, I believe, November 3rd, 2025. It is about a little less than $5,000 more than Mr. Pelowitz's current salary. It contains an annual cost of living increase equal to the increase received by other SWA employees, and includes an annual merit increase equal to the average merit increase of all SWA employees. Contract provides for an annual contribution to Mr. Kari's deferred comp account in the maximum amount allowed by law. That is also the same that's in Mr. Pelowitz's current contract. It does have a $600 a month car allowance, which is $100 more than Mr. Pelowitz is currently receiving. That was the recommendation from the Evergreen Solution Report, so I included that in the contract. It is for a term of 3 years, beginning on December 24th, 25. It has an annual rollover provision. Essentially, each annual anniversary, it will extend for another year, so it remains a 3-year agreement. Because of that, that renewal can be terminated by either side with 90 days written notice. That's also in Mr. Pelowitz's current contract. And the contract contains standard termination and severance clauses that are in accordance with Florida law.
Are there any questions or comments by the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Vice Chair Flores. Do I have
Second.
a second? By Mayor Baxter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See, that motion carries 7-0. Congratulations, Mr. Kari. Thank you. We will move on to item 9D1, fiscal year 2026 Blighted and Distressed Property Cleanup and Beautification Grant Award, second round. Mr. Pelowitz?
Yes, Mr. Gonsalves is going to present that, and he's available to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Mayor, and board members. Back in the October board meeting, the board approved 4 blighted and distressed property cleanup grant awards totaling $270,700, which left roughly $479,000 available for a second round of submittals. At the board's request, we went back out and reopened the application period, and we received 4 new requests totaling $503,629, which exceeded our available funds roughly by $24,329. 3 of the 4 submittals fully met the program intent, the criteria for the program, one of which did not. The town of Loxahatchee Groves, their total project and grant request was for $140,000, of which only $18,000 was approved or met the intent of our demolition component for the projects. So we're here today as staff, and we request your board direction on which projects to fund and at what amounts.
Are there any comments on the board for this direction? Commissioner Weiss, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm good with moving forward with all the requests with the town of Loxahatchee Groves based on what is allowable, which is the demolition rather than any capital construction. That would be a change and a break from how we have managed this fund in the past. And I think in trying to also be good stewards with the money and how we presented these funds available, that would be the funds are there, and I would support moving forward that way. So with that, I guess I could just make that motion and to move forward with the caveat though that we don't fund that capital improvement side as that was requested by Loxahatchee Groves.
Okay, thank you. I have a first by Commissioner Weiss and a second by Commissioner Marino, but Commissioner Flores, your light is on.
I was actually going to speak on that particular project. I believe it's $18,000 that they technically would qualify for?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what the motion is. All right, I'm in favor. Thank you.
Is there any other comments by the board? Okay, then we will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See, that carries 7-0. Thank you. Oh, sorry, 6-0. Commissioner Sachs is off the board. Okay, we'll move on to 9E1, selection for legislative representation services through RFP number 26-204. Mr. Pelowitz?
Item 9E1, this is an RFP that was issued for legislative representation services, for lobbying services for the Solid Waste Authority. Back at the August board meeting, there was some discussion about whether we should include an SBE or not include an SBE. And ultimately, based on the conversation, it was determined that the board would select the lobbyist based upon the solicitations, the responses that have been received. We forwarded 3 responses to your office along with the RFP. And with that, subject to board's deliberation, we're asking the board to select a lobbying firm and authorize the executive director to execute the contract subject to legal counsel review and approval. And I'm available, and we are available. Jody Hart is our purchasing director. She is here as well to assist you in this process. And with that, I'm going to turn it over.
Okay, well, you're doing a presentation from staff first? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I can list the firms that submitted. Obviously, there are 3 firms that submitted the proposals. It's Becker, it's Gray Robinson, it's Ronald Book. So we have like 5 different criteria we've included in this RFP. You know, it's the experience for 35 points, qualifications for 25 points, and technical approach for 20 points, price for 10, and local preference for 10. So 2 other firms are local, that's Becker and Gray Robinson. And as far as the pricing goes, Becker was $63,000 a year, Gray Robinson at $69,000 per year, and Ronald Book at $90,000 per year. So if you want to...
Can you repeat that, Ramona?
Yes, please.
Slowly.
Becker, $63,000. Gray Robinson, $69,000. And Ronald Book, $90,000.
Okay, and if I could, yes, I was going to just say, in my agenda review, and this is something that I need to hear from the rest of the board, when this was discussed that we were going to choose from the RFP, I did not have the understanding from that previous board meeting that we would be the ones to score this. I was informed of that last week, and I know that an email was sent out to all of us. And I had my staff working on this for me because I honestly didn't have a lot of time myself to do it. I'd like to hear from the rest of the board if that was also their understanding, because I am prepared now to do so. But as the selection committee, it was on us to score each of these. And then we would come together and to do a vote where we could choose, each of us choose our top pick, second pick, third pick, do the vote. This is something we would need to discuss on how we want to do the voting procedure. So with that, Commissioner Flores, your light was on first, and then Commissioner, if your light wasn't on, did you want to speak?
I don't have a light.
You don't have a light. All right, well, sorry. Vice Mayor Baxter, you can go first, and then I have Flores, and then Commissioner Powell.
Hi. So why are we giving these in annual amounts?
These are basically like a retainer, if you would, you know, so they represent us in Tallahassee and if needed in Washington.
What is the difference between the 3 amounts? I don't mean number-wise, I mean in the actual what they've presented.
It's not a big difference between the first one and the second one, and there's a slight difference between, obviously.
Why do you think the third one is higher?
I'm not sure.
I'm very disappointed in that answer. You should know this, because as somebody who did review it, 2 of the first proposals gave us monthly amounts and then hourly. Did the third one give us an hourly amount, or was that the max amount we would pay?
That's, yeah, it's the monthly, it's 7,500 times the 12, right? So,
Without any hourly, meaning
that-
we actually have amount that is capped not to pay more, where the other two companies could come back and bill us hourly. We have no idea what that could end up being.
no, I believe it's a lump sum amount.
Madam
No.
Chair, the hourly is for any work that's additional outside of the scope.
I understand that,
It's outside of the scope. We don't typically do it. We just ask them for it.
but it's potential there for somebody to bill us for amounts. Then why not just put zero?
Because we ask them to fill out that amount. I mean, this is a case where we've given them a scope of services, and the scope of services is covered by the monthly fee. And in the case where we ask them to do something beyond what's in the scope of services, they give us an hourly rate. There's no requirement on our part to authorize that, and we don't, and we haven't.
I find that very disingenuous, because that is, if somebody is saying, hey, we're not going to go above that, you have to bring it back to us anyways to approve an amount, then just give us your total amount, not give us a later maybe if amount.
That's just the way that the RFP was structured.
Because when I was
that way.
scoring this, and I read through all this backup, because you've asked us to score it, I read a monthly amount of $5,250, and then they could charge us between $400 and $600 hourly, $300 to $500 hourly, and $200 to $400 hourly, based on their qualifications or whatever level they are at their law firm.
If I could, just for clarification, just because working with my husband and doing this before, if a request was made for hourly outside of the scope of work and it was put at zero, we, in our previous life, had determined that the customer or the contractor was not willing to perform anything outside the scope of work. Is that not what this meant, or? That's how I interpreted that, to mean that I will do the scope of work, anything beyond that, I'm not willing to.
Yeah, it's either that or, they would negotiate at a later date. So, so our consultants.
So were we clear in the RFP in what we were asking?
Yeah, we asked for those dollars to be included, anything outside the scope of work, they would include their rates. There's
always a potential for change orders. I mean, that's how I would look at change orders. If there's going to be something that pops up at a later date, what lock in right now on what you would charge us. And if we didn't get that dollar amount, it would basically mean you're not going to perform anything outside of the scope.
See, that one, again, it's like there are two options, either they are not willing to do any additional scope of services, or they would come back and renegotiate the rates, or they would provide the rates, when additional scope of services is requested.
Mayor Baxter, would you like to have that answered by the applicant?
Yes, I'd like each applicant to come up and answer.
We have two microphones.
Chair, since they're coming up, are they going to just give a quick overview of their proposal, or is it
I
just?
think we're just discussing how they would bill us currently.
But
unless
since
you
they're
would
going to
like
be
it.
up here, would you think that it'd be fitting for them to do a presentation or an overview of their?
I would, if you would like, I would, yes.
I would recommend that, yes.
Okay, yes. So then if you would go ahead and do a brief presentation and then also be able to address the mayor's question.
You'll have to forgive me, I was not prepared to do
Okay.
a presentation. I don't have the PowerPoint or the overall, but I will tell you that we've represented the SWA for over 10 years. The RFP asks for an hourly rate. We've discussed it. It's like they might have something different, or I don't know what they have in terms of services, but they put it in there. We've never used it in 10 years. They've never asked us to do anything. We accomplish all of that we need to do for the SWA in Tallahassee, and I think the question for them is why it's in there and what type of services that they would need, but we've never used it in over 10 years. So I think it's really just something they put just in case something pops up.
Okay.
For the record, Ron Book, Ronald L. Book, PA, 4000 Hollywood Boulevard, Suite 677, South Hollywood, Florida, 33021, and 104 West Jefferson, Tallahassee, Florida, 32301. We don't charge by the hour. We threw timesheets out in 1987. We run our practice as a law firm for a reason, to provide our clients with comfort on conflicts. We provide it as it relates to always diligently pursuing matters on behalf of our clients. But we toss timesheets out, then we turn hourly billings away. We provide a retainer relationship, period, end of story. There are never any add-ons, and our fee is all-inclusive as well as costs.
Thank you. Is the other applicant here?
No, I don't believe they're here.
Oh,
So no one from Gray
no one
Robinson?
from Gray Robinson is here?
No.
Okay. All right, did that answer your question?
It did. Was that your understanding, Mr. Book, when you filled out the application? There may be an hourly amount later on, because you put 0.
Madam Chair, through you. The answer to the question is, we didn't believe we were required to quote an hourly rate. We don't quote hourly rates. We do not bill on an hourly rate, and we never, ever do an add-on. We will turn a client away over hourly rates.
Thank you. And you said you've never used the hourly rates?
They've never requested anything beyond the scope that's in the RFP, and that's what you're bidding on. But, you know, I'm of the nature, and by the way, I'm Ellen Bogdanoff. I'm sorry, I probably should have told you who I was. With Becker, I think I would defer to staff into terms of what they thought would go beyond the legislative services that we provide. Anything that has to do with the legislature, we do. I'm not sure if they were thinking, because we are a law firm, if there was maybe litigation that they needed or some other services that our law firm would provide that would not fall within the legislative scope of services, and that's why we provide the range of hourly. And we are a law firm, so we have 150 lawyers. We do provide services outside of legislative services.
Okay, thank you. Is that sufficient?
Yeah.
Okay, so Vice Chair Flores.
The attorney wants to be heard.
Sorry. I did want to point out on the price proposal page, it does say that these hourly services are to perform services other than lobbying. And it also says the hourly rate for these additional services is not included as part of the RFP evaluation. That's on the price proposal page as well.
Okay, thank you. So Vice Chair Flores, did you want to address the applicants?
Yeah, I know we talked about the pricing component of it already. You know, I scored it because I was told to be prepared, to have the scoring system done, so that when we got here, we would take care of this. But my question is to both of you, applicants that are here before us, why should we hire you? You, Ellen, I know you have experience representing SWA, so tell us a little bit about that experience. What have you been able to do for us? And Mr. Book, why should we consider you? Thank you.
Do you want me to go first? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Many of you may not know, I was in the legislature. I represent Palm Beach County for close to 10 years as a state representative and a state senator. I grew up in Palm Beach County, so I know the county very well. Becker has represented SWA for well over 10 years, and we have a phenomenal relationship with staff. We probably email with Willie almost every day. We do an excellent job. We've never received a complaint. When they need something, we're on it. The other day, they had an issue with one of the biosolids. The bill that was produced by the Department of Agriculture, and within 24 hours, we had them on the phone with the Chief of Staff to talk about their concerns and what changes they could possibly make to the bill. We're extremely responsive. We have a huge team up in Tallahassee, and we're all available. If I'm on the phone, Willie can call 5 other people and get their response immediately. They come up to Tallahassee. We set up the appointments that they need. We track the bills and we advise them. They're actually very good. We do a report for them every week on all of the bills, and quite frankly, there's a lot of bills in this space, so sometimes we're tracking 50 to 60 bills. Most of them don't go anywhere, but there are a few this year in particular that you have concerns concerns with. But we've been on it since, bill drafting opened, and we are in constant contact with them. I think we do an excellent job. We know the system well. We've been doing it for well over 10 years. And I think if you would ask, staff what their recommendation or how they feel with the job that we've done, which I think is the best judge, I think they would tell you that we've done an excellent job for them. And they're, we would like the opportunity to continue to do that for you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, thank you so much. And Board, we appreciate the opportunity, and we appreciated the opportunity to have a chance to compete to represent the Solid Waste Authority here in Palm Beach County. It is no secret that we've been around this game for 50-plus years. It's no secret that we are, if you will, a full-service governmental affairs law firm. We don't charge add-ons because we believe that the entire totality of governmental affairs are a part of what you, if you will, attempted to procure through your staff to you. At the end of the day, reputations precede all of us. The Becker firm is a great firm. The Gray Robinson firm is a great firm. I believe we're the best firm in the business to advocate on behalf of the Solid Waste Authority. When it wasn't popular 40 years ago to represent cities and counties and special districts and entities like the Solid Waste Authority, we were representing local governments. There's a reason why we have experience in the waste area, not because we've represented the Solid Waste Authority, but because we've represented Miami-Dade, we've represented Broward, we've represented Brevard, we've represented Seminole, we've represented Pinellas, because we are a broad-based governmental services firm that is supposed to help guide our clients pro and con on issues related to the legislative process. We don't send you an add-on if you have a problem at the Water Management District. We don't send you an add-on if you have something you need us to do related to communication with the congressional delegation. You don't get add-ons if we need to intercede on your behalf with any of the other governments. It's what we do. We define ourselves as government advocates on behalf of our clients in a very effective and aggressive way. At the end of the day, we can all talk about what our reputations are, but I believe that, as I said, reputations precede all of us. We are recognized at the Capitol as the guys who turn the lights on in the morning and turn them off at night. We eat, sleep, and drink the process. During the legislative session, you don't find us out at the local watering holes. Commissioner Powell, Senator Sachs, they know what we do because they served in the process. They know where we are all hours of the day because our lights are on and we're still in the office. That's what we do. And we would love the opportunity to effectively and aggressively represent your interests in Tallahassee before the legislature and or the governor and the cabinet and or any of the state agencies or any other governmental entity should there become an issue for the SWA during the time we have an opportunity to represent you. And again, I thank you for the opportunity for bidding it. Thank you for the opportunity for us to compete.
Thank you. Was that sufficient for you, Vice Chair Flores?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you both. Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know we discussed us evaluating this process at a previous meeting. My question was, because I am, and myself and Flores, or Commissioner Flores, are pretty new to the commission, on these RFPs for legislative services in terms of lobbying, right? And we had talked about, eliminating the SBE portion and or not really including that. Is this common practice that just remind me, I may have forgotten, the BCC makes the selection of our, okay.
It is not. Typically, what staff does is staff brings forth a recommendation and a ranking with the scoring, and then the board basically has the option of taking staff's recommendation or adopting their own. But at the August board meeting, there was discussion about whether the SBE component was going to be included or not. And the board could not come to a consensus as to whether to include it or not, and the discussion was that we will send the proposals to you and the board will determine who they want us to contract with. Subsequent to that, and it wasn't our intent in the RFP, our intent in the RFP was that you all come back with a ranking of 1, 2, and 3. But General Counsel and I reviewed the RFP and felt for transparency purposes, it was best if you all scored them. That said, I mean, I'm going to defer to General Counsel, but the board has the ability to choose the lobbyist based on your deliberations and who you feel is best positioned to represent the authority. So that's where we are. I mean, obviously, we've got a legislative session that's coming up. It's starting in January. We need to have a lobbying firm on board. If the board is not comfortable with the way this has come to you, you can basically set it aside and make a different determination. But this is different for us, but it was what the board desired in August, at the August meeting, and unfortunately, we've tried to do something different than what we typically do, and it's obviously not perfect.
Well, Ms. Pelowitz, I want to make sure that, of course, doing this in public, it is a process where we're operating in the sunshine. So I did want to ask the attorney, and if you do or don't know, in the other counties, does the board typically, I can't say the word typically do a ranking system? How is it, or do you not know?
I do not know. I know the board acting as the BCC has, in somewhat recent months, asked about possibly acting as a selection committee in certain solicitations. I don't believe we've done any like that yet, but there has been some, input or inquiry into doing that. But I'm not aware of what other counties have done.
Thank you. As a follow-up, because we have all had different experiences with the teams who have applied. Of course, I've worked in Tallahassee for a while, so I'm extremely familiar with all of the individuals who are listed in these documents. So with that being said, I just want to make sure we're clear that from our attorney's perspective and from Mr. Pelowitz's perspective, as you all have gotten together to discuss this, that we are 100% within our legal and within our legal realm to make the selection, especially since we're doing it publicly here today.
What I can tell you is, in the past, the Solid Waste Authority Board has made selections, and one in particular was that I recall was a big one, which was the Ref 2 construction and award. The Solid Waste Authority Board awarded that contract. Staff came in with a recommendation, and the board awarded the contract, and that's the way it was set up. The difference here is we didn't come in with a recommendation for you. And that was my understanding as to what the board wanted. And the main reason is because typically, if SBE is included, then it's 15 points. If it's not included, then it doesn't exist. And when there was no clear direction as to whether the SBE was going to be included or not, and the board indicated they wanted it to be voluntary, it became a situation where staff could not do the evaluation, which is why we ended up where we are. That said, the board has wide latitude to select the firm it wishes to do business with, and that it feels in its interest is in the best interest of the Solid Waste Authority. So with that, our recommendation was to fill out score sheets, and each board come with a 1, 2, and 3, and from there have a deliberation and decide which firm you want to do business with. If the board wishes not to do the score sheets, I think obviously General Counsel believes that you should do them, so I'm going to defer to him on that.
I do, because the RFP did include scoring criteria and points for scoring criteria, including a 10 points for local preference. So that was why my recommendation to Mr. Pelowitz was that the board do fill out score sheets for this.
Thank you for that. And I've reviewed the documents, and to make sure that I'm clear, are there, of the applicants who provided responses to the RFP, are there applicants who have included an SBE in their proposal?
There is one. The Becker firm included an SBE subconsultant, the Merchant Strategy, Sharon Merchant. They're the only ones that had an SBE subconsultant.
Thank you. And currently, Becker is the current, okay. Is it okay if we ask staff what has been your working relationship with Becker over the last, I think Senator Bogdanoff said 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's been excellent. I'll give you an example. Last session, it was the last night of the session, it was past 10:30. The session was winding down. We were still texting, emailing, and Cody and Lance from Becker, they've been very responsive. So they provided excellent service. And it's the responsiveness, as and when the bills are getting amended, there's alternate language and stuff. So they were emailing back and forth, texting on, what is SWA's preferred language here, so they can insert that and do the rounds. So they provide exceptional service.
Thank you. No further questions. Madam Chair?
Sure, yes.
Thank you.
Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. And next will be Commissioner Weiss and Sachs. But before, if you don't mind, I would just like to go ahead and say on the record that that was not my understanding from our board direction, is that we would be doing scoring and that we would be, yes, we would be making the decision, but not that we would be the ones doing the full scoring. I still expected a recommendation from staff for this meeting. And I found this out last week when we had our agenda review, that that was not forthcoming. And that was my understanding, and I would love to know if the rest of my board felt the same way, because it does, and I did do the scoring. I have the score sheet done. I managed to get through it with the help of staff, my staff, but that, we've never done it. I've only been on this board for 3 years, but we've never scored an RFP before. We've never gone through that. We have made decisions based on the scoring that was provided to us, and that was what I expected. So with that, I just wanted to go on record that that was my expectation for this meeting, and what I understood that we were giving board direction to. So with that, Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't even know. I didn't expect that we would be sitting as selection committee. I mean, I had the same understanding as you, and that's normally what happens is they bring back recommendation with the rankings, and then from there, we take it from there. I will tell you, I thought there were going to be presentations today, and that's what I was going to, and then to help finalize my decision, but apparently that's not part of the process either, so, I mean, that was my expectation, is we were going to get presentations by the applicants, so. As somebody who, and I've been on this board now for 7 years, and this is we've never done this. I can't speak for before.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I questioned whether this was a proper procedure when we had the agenda review, and Mr. Pelowitz explained it in the best way, which is these are contracts for every 3 years. They are renewable for 3 years. And then the contract is over, and we have to either decide we're going to go outside that firm or renew for another 3 years. So we have had an excellent law firm do our lobbying, the Becker Law Firm, and I've served with Senator Bogdanoff, and she is amazing. She's just amazing. She's very bright. I think, however, and this is the procedure that we're a little bit uncomfortable with, but I think what's interesting about the procedure, and it's good that we're a little uncomfortable with it, is that these contracts renew every 6 years. And the idea is maybe to open the window and let some new fresh air in, or not. But I think that the reason that we have these renewable contracts is a review and an idea that maybe we can go out and find another lobbying firm. And I think that's sort of built into what the procedure is with the SWA. And it is a little uncomfortable, especially for those of us who served with both lobbying teams. The objective here is not personal. The objective is pure political, pure politics. Which lobbying team, and there's 3 that have been presented to us, can get us the most bang for the buck for our solid waste authority? That's the bottom line. And I gave this a lot of thought, and I filled it out last night, and I gave it a lot of thought. And to go above the personal part of it and to go into the pure politics of it is something I rely back on the 10 years I spent in Tallahassee. There used to be an advertisement for an attorney, and the advertisement was, his light is always on. I forget who they were talking about, but it was like his light was always on. So that's Ron Book. I mean, he's got an office right on the corner of where everybody hangs. You leave the Capitol, you walk down this corner. His light is always on. Not only is his light on, but he's in the office. You see him in the office. And if he sees you, and sometimes you're lucky that he doesn't see you, he'll knock on that window and say, come on in here, get your butt in here, let's talk. He's always on. He's always on. He's always working. And so is Senator Bogdanoff. But he's always there, always, early in the morning and late at night. Another thing I think we need to look at when I say pure politics is this. Tallahassee, the capital politics, is not the way it used to be. It's not the way it used to be. You realize we have the President of the United States living here in Palm Beach County. He's living in Florida. Most of his people around him are Floridians. Former Speaker of the House, Marco Rubio, former Attorney General. We have become, a spotlight is on us. So I think that the indication of whether somebody is local should almost be, is this lobbying firm national? Because I want somebody who feels very comfortable going to Washington, D.C. and saying to our Secretary of State or to the Attorney General, who he knows or she knows, that we have an issue at the SWA. And so I think that having a nationally recognized law firm is more important, I think, than being here with a local address. Those days are gone. Those were the days when Senator Powell and Senator Bruzzo and I were, and Senator Bogdanoff, we were all sort of local people, and Tallahassee was sort of a local place. But now it's different. And we need to recognize the politics, the national and global politics that will determine policy here in Palm Beach County. So that is why that I would want to have a nationally recognized law firm, and that's Book. And I feel like it's beyond the personal, because I love Sharon Merchant and Ellen Bogdanoff. We're friends for many, many years. But this isn't about personalities or personal. This is about politics. And the politics of this state has changed, and we need a nationally recognized law firm. And so I did my scoring for Book. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. An important point was brought up, and I'd like some more information on it. Services outside the scope. Ms. Bogdanoff said that with the contracted amount, nothing has been, in the previous year, nothing was outside the scope. Do we have a history of things that have gone outside the scope? Because I would hate to pay $9,000 a month, or whatever it was, $7,500, excuse me, when really the quote of 63 fits what the requirement is. Even if there was 2 hours or 3 hours more over the course of the year, that still doesn't come up to $7,500 a month for me. So I don't know the history. Is there someone that can answer that?
No, we've never exceeded that amount. It's a fixed billing amount. What they do is they take whatever the contract amount annual, they divide it by 12 and bill monthly. And that's
No,
all
I
they-
realize that, but in the way the contract reads, is if there is something above and beyond lobbying, then there would be a fee.
There has never been anything
Never
above and
been.
beyond lobbying,
Okay.
ever.
And as for federal, I think one of the reasons why I thought Becker was my number one pick was because in your team, it was local, state, and federal. So I made them my number one team. And price had a little bit to do with it. Locality had a little bit to do with it. The fact that you had federal representation had something to do with it. And the fact that you had history with the Solid Waste Authority had something to do with it. Thank you.
Thank you. And there are no other lights on right now.
Have a light.
Oh, you don't have a light? Would you like, sorry. There is a light on. Mayor Baxter, go ahead.
Hi. I agree. This is political. I mean, we've all gone to Tallahassee. We've been here locally. We see things that move. We see people with influence all the time. Even outside of lobbying firms, 3 different people could walk in here and we can tell you how well they're known. We can tell you how well everyone receives them and what sort of lobbying power they would or would not have. And I am in agreement with Commissioner Sachs that when you go to Tallahassee and you need something to get done, it is the Book law firm that gets it done. If there is something put in front of them, we have bills all the time from different groups trying to come through. We just had one, I believe it was in regards to our incinerator. Mm-hmm. I want to know who we're hiring. Make sure that, because that was a big deal, it's not going through, and we're not going to lose out on millions more or save a few thousand just and compromise the bigger picture here because they're not being friendly. Some of these groups are relentless in trying to pass things, get them through our legislature and make things happen. And I want the strongest person on our side, the people that can make sure we're in the best position, who have the best recognition and the best lobbying power to make sure that our residents aren't put in a terrible situation and that the SWA isn't at risk for millions of dollars because of something that went through. I want the person who picks up the phone and they take them serious and has been around a long time. And I feel those qualifications are very important to what we're trying to do. We are in the process as the BCC switching out lobbying firms because I firmly believe who we had were not bringing in enough appropriations every year. We are paying them thousands and thousands of dollars and not getting what we should in return. I believe that Mr. Book's firm is the best, positions us the best in Tallahassee to get the things we need accomplished with this board. So I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the end of the lights. I do have a question for the attorney just on when the RFP was put out, was the scoring criteria part of the RFP? And are we bound to use that? I want to make sure, because we've never done this before, I want to make sure that we are in compliance with procurement procedures.
Yeah, the evaluation guidelines included the scoring criteria and included points for the scoring criteria in the RFP.
So can you make sure, when we do our votes now, are we meant to give our scores? Is that part of this?
So your scores are for purposes of ranking. So you can take your scores and then say, I have this firm number 1, this firm number 2, and this firm number 3. And the language that's in the RFP, and I think this is pretty standard, is that staff can take those rankings, add them up, and then give the board what their top ranked was, which will basically be the lowest score, and so on. And then the board can make the decision if they want to move forward with the highest ranked firm.
Okay, so since we have not done this before, is that the will of the board to just everyone to vote with their 1, 2, 3 ranking and then see where that leaves us? And
I scored mine. I don't know if you want us to all turn them in and you
I think
can-
we should, yes, the score sheets should be turned in.
Okay.
so do
and-
we just give our score sheets to you and then you will tell us?
Staff can do that, or you can tell us I have 1, 2, 3.
You could each just read out who your first, second, and third are, and we'll compile them, and then we'll
There we
do
go.
it for you.
Perfect.
All right, so you'll do a roll call vote, and then each commissioner will state their first, second, third, according to the score sheets that they did.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Woodward.
Oh, I'm first. Okay, my score sheet, my first ranking was Becker and Polyakov. Second was Gray Robinson. Third was Ronald Book.
Commissioner Flores.
First is Ronald Book, Gray Robinson, number 2, and number 3, Becker, Polinoff.
Commissioner Powell, he stepped away. Mayor Baxter.
First was Ronald Book, second was Becker, third was Gray Robinson.
Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. First was Becker, second was Gray Robinson, and third was Ronald Book.
Commissioner Sacks.
Thank you. Number 1 is Ronald Book, number 2 is Becker Polyakov, and number 3 is Gray Robinson.
Commissioner Weiss.
I had 2 number 1s, same top score, and that would be Ronald Book and Becker, and then number 3 is Gray Robinson.
Commissioner Powell.
Becker, Book, Robinson.
I'm waiting on staff.
Oh, sorry. When you have the tally,
She's
let
going
us
to
know.
tally it up and get an average and top ranking.
Okay. Are you giving us you give it when you're ready.
Okay. A lot of paper today. It has been.
One more.
getting there?
Yes. We're double checking. 'Cause I don't want to mess it up.
This is, hopefully there's no hanging chads.
We're the same. We got the same. 11, 12, 18, 1, 2, 3.
It's 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So we double-checked the scores, we took an average of the rankings. So the highest ranked firm is Becker by, the average score is 1.57. We go for the least score, average score. And Ronald Book at 1.71, and Gray at 2.57. So the highest ranked firm in this case is Becker.
Okay, so Becker is the highest ranked firm, sorry, I got a little confused there. Okay, so then,
Yeah, could you tell us how you calculated that?
We'll do, I'll explain the methodology. So what we did was,
It's 3-2-1. So it's 3-2-1. That's the ranking. Now, understanding there's a firm that also ranked third.
So you're saying if the majority of the board picks somebody?
You can still, it's based on the scoring. If some of you have scored it one way and it came out this way, the board ultimately has the decision to make. So
that's based on scoring.
that's based on the scoring. Now, every one of you, there are cases where you have different, there were two firms that were scored number one in the scoring, and they were both the Becker firm and the Book firm. And then you have Gray Robinson, which came out pretty far down. It's ultimately your decision as to how you do it. So if you want
for who
to
we
take
pick.
another vote, that's right. But the scoring indicates that based on how you score, how you individually rank them, that Becker was number one and Book was number two.
if I could, Mr. Pelowitz, just to be clear, what the exercise that we just completed would be what the selection committee would have done before coming to us.
That is
When you
correct.
would have came to us and said you were recommending number one, number two was this firm, number three was that firm, according to the selection committee.
Right. And then the board has the authority to select the firm. So I'm saying that ultimately, the decision is yours. So you've got three firms in here. If you wanted to basically take the top two and say, okay, now we're going to vote on the top two, you could do that. I don't know whether general counsel agrees with that, but I think you can do that.
You can do that. Yeah.
Okay, it's because what we just did was just the scoring criteria to give us our ranking.
Correct.
Which is typically what you would have done for us.
That's what staff would have done in looking at all the criteria and tallying up the points and then ranking each firm and then taking the average of the rankings, which is exactly what we did here.
Okay, so now what we have done for ourselves is to give us Becker at, you said 1.57, Booker at
7-1
1.71, and Gray Robinson,
at 2.57.
2.57. So then that leaves us with a pretty clear number one and number two. So now with the board, we just do a roll call vote to then vote for.
Yes, I would
Firm.
entertain a motion to select a firm and have a second and vote. And if the vote fails, then go to the second one and try it again.
Are we voting on all three or just the top two?
Top two.
Top two.
So we should not have a tie if there's seven of us and two.
There should not be, but there may not be a majority on whoever the first, on what the first motion is.
I think she's saying
I'm-
just do a roll call vote.
Or you could do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would suggest that we do a roll call vote and each of us vote. We are only voting on number one or number two, which is Becker.
Becker
Or
and Ronald Book.
Okay? Is everyone clear on what we are doing? Clerk?
Vice Mayor Woodward,
Becker.
Commissioner Flores, Commissioner Powell,
Becker.
Mayor Baxter,
Book.
Commissioner Marino, Becker? Commissioner Sacks?
Book.
Commissioner Weiss?
Book.
So that would be 4 for Book and 3 for Becker. So then the motion would be for Ronald Book to be our new lobbyist. Is that the motion on the floor?
That would be the motion on the floor.
So we have a 4-3 vote, and we are decided.
That's decided.
Okay, then.
So based upon that, you've directed staff to enter into a contract with the Book firm to be the lobbying firm for the Solid Waste Authority, subject to legal counsel review and approval.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations, Mr. Book.
I'll take them.
Okay, so with that, we will move on to item 9E2, legal services for the implementation of Palm Beach Renewable Energy Facility number 1R project.
Yes, this is the legal services for Ref 1R. As you know, we've started the planning tasks for this project. So that entails hiring a law firm that can provide us 3 different areas of expertise. It's construction law, energy law, and environmental law. So there are so many tasks that we're planning on. So what we plan to do is issue this RFQ, that is attached here, and we will shortlist the firm and come back with a recommendation. And so we're planning to issue this thing as soon as possible, probably within the next few weeks. And we'll bring this thing back to the board with a recommendation in April.
Okay, we do have a public comment card, this.
Linda Smith.
Sorry, I know it's late. Linda Smith, Sierra Club, Loxahatchee Group. I'm asking to approve the request to advertise for a life cycle cost analysis in addition to this legal requirements. We fully support the removal of Ref 1. This clears county land that can be used for much better use of expanding recycling and reuse, commercial composting. We're curious what happened to the free mulch that residents used to pick up. I've been asked that a couple times today. And would you look at other options such as pay to throw? And I apologize, I forgot I could put this on a slide, but it shows what happens when communities switch from regular trash pickup, which was what we have, to a pay to throw. They basically cut their waste by 40%. And it is basically like a light switch. The one in Maine goes up and down. Guy in Maine won the lottery, he put up a billboard, he didn't like the process. They rescinded it, the guy moved away because he won the lottery, and they put it back in place, and their waste dropped again. It's literally turning on a light switch. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, is there a motion what are we seeking for? You're seeking board approval? Yes? Okay.
To issue this
To advertise.
RFQ.
Okay, so we are seeking board approval to advertise. Do I have a motion? Or a comment? I'm sorry. Commissioner Flores, go ahead.
Just a very simple comment. We don't want to be the scoring members of the selection committee.
Right, this one is different.
Thank you.
Staff is going to make a recommendation at the April meeting, and obviously the board has the final say. You can pick the firm, and the final decision is yours, but we will come back with a recommendation.
I'm all in favor of top 3.
Yes.
But don't make us be the selection and scoring.
I would second that if I could. Are you making the motion for for us to do the RFQ?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Mayor Baxter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See, that carries 7-0. Now we are on to any other scheduled matters. Mr. Pelowitz, this is your last meeting.
There are no other scheduled matters.
Anything you would like to say?
I think I've said some things, but I guess I'll
Oh, well,
make...
you do have do you have comments on here? I didn't mean to skip ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll go now.
Okay.
First, I just want to thank all of you. This is not easy, and we all know that. I appreciate all of you, and your staff in particular has always been great to work with. as have all of the commissioners and the previous staffs as well. So I thank you all for that. I have to thank Mark Hammond, who I was the previous executive director, who I had the pleasure of working directly for 27 years. I had one boss for 27 years before becoming executive director, and I really appreciate how when I came in as a cost accountant, they enabled me to do what I do, which is to delve into things, to ask a lot of questions, to figure out what things cost and how they work. And that's how I ended up getting the knowledge that I needed to do this job. And I really applaud people who recognize that somebody has some kind of ability and they let them flourish. And that was really what happened with me. But I have to really thank, you see us, but the real solid waste authority is those folks out in the field, and you don't see them unless you go to one of our transfer stations, or you go to the landfill, or you go to the home chemical recycling center, and you see those folks. Our waymasters who greet everybody at the scale house, our equipment operators, our tractor trailer drivers, our household hazardous waste technicians, everyone who maintains all of that equipment maintenance, our grounds, facilities maintenance, grounds maintenance, our utilities, and the best customer service staff on the planet. I mean, I think we have the best customer service in the industry. We've got 200,000 curbside homes out there, service 4 times a week. That's 800,000 opportunities a week to mess something up, and we get very few complaints. So I have to thank those folks in customer service and all of our employees for everything they've done. I think the authority has done great things. We'll continue to do great things. We had a tour group from Bangladesh here today, so people come from all over the world to see what we do and how we do it. I owe the authority a lot, and hopefully I've given it as much as it's given me. And if I have, then I'm going to leave here happy. So with that, thank you all. And I'm sure I'll see you around in other places. Don't be afraid to come up and say hi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any comments by general counsel?
Just actually have 2 quick ones. Just I want to wish Dan happy retirement. I've enjoyed my last couple of years working with you and respect you greatly. I also want to tell the board just the score sheets from the prior item, you should just leave them. I think Buffy will collect those and they'll be made part of the record.
Okay, thank you. Any comments by staff?
Madam Chair, I have 2 items that I want to bring up. There are 2 Citizen Advisory Committee at-large positions that are vacant right now. Byron Laster, he passed in August, that's still vacant, and Jeff Blank, he resigned effective the last meeting. So those are 2 positions that are open. And Dr. Myron Uman, he contacted the board.
At large?
At large. So I just want to bring that to your attention. And also the cross-state use of parcel, that RFP, we received the proposals, and that was structured similar to the lobbying services. So the board can have staff review it and come back with a recommendation. Right now, the way it is structured is that the board would do the scoring and ranking, so if you want to change that, staff can help with that.
I believe the board would like to not be the selection committee in this way again.
Okay. So we will...
Oh, hold on. We may have a comment here. Commissioner Powell?
And I just got a question. I guess it's a point of clarity for me. Do we get to pick and choose when we can be the selection committee? Is that legal?
Yeah, I mean, you make the final decision as to procurement decisions, and you can waive anything that's in the procurement manual and ask the staff that you be the final selection committee, yes.
Okay, thanks for the clarity.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. Ms. Romani, you talked about the Citizens Advisory Committee, and that Dr. Myron Uman had submitted a letter. I believe it also had gone originally to Chair Baxter when she was chairing, that he had asked to be on that board. I know Dr. Uman, and he would be an excellent member of that committee. So I'd like to make a motion to, since we have 2 openings at this point, to put him on the committee so you can continue to have a quorum.
Second.
So it's an at-large seat. So we have a first by, what was his name again? I'm sorry. Dr. Myra Uman. You got the name. So the rest of the board in favor of this? So everyone is in favor. You can see that's a 7-0 support. Is that the end of your comments?
That's it, so we will put together an evaluation committee and come back with a recommendation, because we plan to bring this thing back to the board in February, the cross-state.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments from staff? Would any of the board like to make a comment? All right, Commissioner Marino, we'll just go all the way down.
Thank you. Mr. Pelowitz, thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure dealing with you for the last 5 years. Wish you luck in your future.
Thank you.
Have fun on your next chapter. Mr. Kari, thank you very much for stepping in, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
And for those of you, since we didn't do commissioner comments earlier, for those of you that are doing the Wellington or the parade on Sunday, have fun. I'm doing the Jupiter parade and wishing everybody a happy holiday. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
Mr. Pelowitz, I wanted to tell you thank you for your service. I've only had an opportunity to serve with you for a little more than a year, but you've been a pleasure to work with. Good luck in your future endeavors, and I'm wishing you the best, and excited to be working with Mr. Romano. And with that, have a happy holiday, and see y'all on the other side.
Thank you.
Mayor Baxter?
I'm going to reiterate the sentiments of this board and say thank you. It has been a pleasure for the past 3 years. I know we don't always make it easy.
It's always a pleasure.
You've done an amazing, amazing job, to the point of I'm happy to see somebody who has learned from you and learned under you to take over the reins, because it has been just that well run, and the information, you have big shoes to fill. But we are absolutely looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to retirement.
I am.
Yes, so please enjoy that, and please know that we will forever be grateful for your service. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores?
Dan, thank you so much for your leadership. You welcomed me. I know I had many questions at the beginning of this process. And even when we were looking at different maps, you helped me through that process. And I know that I'm very appreciative for your experience, your wealth of knowledge, and what you have given back to the team. Mr. Carey, you have big shoes to fill. The expectations are high, and I wish you the best as well in this, because I wasn't here last meeting and I didn't get a chance to welcome you. So
thank you.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you so
Dan,
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. I want to acknowledge, I attended about a week and a half ago, attended a meeting at the Solid Waste Authority with the NCNC community group. And you and your team did an excellent job of explaining how we handle solid waste in this county, the options that we were looking at, and explaining why using waste energy facility made the most sense for us in Palm Beach County, and probably for most communities, quite frankly. So I thank you for that. And then Dan, I've had the opportunity to serve with you the last number of years, and as my colleagues have all said, it's really been a pleasure to work with you. You have educated me, as well as your staff, but educated me into how solid waste works in Palm Beach County, and you've served this community for over 30 years, and for that, on behalf of myself, but I think I can speak for the entire community and say thank you for everything you have done to make Palm Beach County a better, cleaner place for all of us. So thank you, and wish you all the best in your retirement.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sachs?
Thank you so much. And Mr. Pelowitz, you have been a pleasure to work with. You're not just knowledgeable and experienced, but you're just so easy to get along with. And I know, in echoing all the remarks from my colleagues, that we have really enjoyed working with you. And I know Mr. Kari and your staff will continue the same legacy that, that you've started, Mr. Pellis. And I want to wish everybody happy holidays. And I do have a little remark that I want to make, and it is with regard to the Ag Reserve, because as part, staff is already reviewing the commercial cap in the Ag Reserve, and it would be a good idea if they also included a mixed use, a future land use designation. I've got magic words here, I'm saying. And if would suggest allowing them the opportunity to use professionals and to report back by March or around March 2026. And I know that some of these professional planning services may also be offered pro bono through organizations such as the American Planning Association. So I'd like for them to look at that as well. Thank you. And it's been a long day, but I tell you what, we all get along real well here, and it's been a pleasure. Pleasure working with you all today. Thank you.
It has been a long day, and I also want to echo the thank you for all your years with Solid Waste Authority, helping us learn about this and to be able to be advocates in the community about what a great job you all do. And I highly recommend the tour at all times, just to go out and see all the work that you do. And thank you, very fiscally responsible as well. We have pretty low rates for the amazing service that we provide. So thank you for all of that, and thank you for handing us someone here to do this. So I'd just like to give you like a quick applause. So thank you. And thank you for coming on board. This is our last meeting of the year. For us as the board as well, I'd like to, yes, on the Delray parades, there's parades everywhere, lots of celebrations. We do have the Boca Bowl on December 23rd. Hopefully you get to see everybody there. It'll be great. I've already ordered great weather, so we'll see if that gets in there. Just happy, merry, all the things for all the people. And everyone, don't forget to do your scoring card. Leave it up here. Our next regular meeting is February 11th, 2026 at 9:30, and we will be back at Solid Waste Authority for that meeting. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
All right.